I'm here on my way to Nachshon, to the sign here for Nachshon, where tonight there is a celebration of democracy, where people who have been marching for 2 days now from all over Israel are gathering for their flags. You see cars going back miles. You have in front of me a lot of marchers. I'm a little bit of a slow marcher here. Tons of marchers and flags and cars and buses coming together after 2 days of marching through Israel to say למה? כן, משדרת באנגלית, כן. She asked me if I'm taking American. מה את אומרת?
אני מוסרת דרישת שלום מהמוחים.
מאיפה?
מגני תקווה.
גני תקווה, יפה. נעים להכיר, אילנה.
שלי.
היי.
היי.
טוב, כל הכבוד.
שנצליח.
Amen. So, we have crowds from everywhere. Yesterday the estimates were 10,000 people. The goal is to get to Jerusalem by Saturday night. And the message here is a very powerful one: to protect democracy. So this is just people. I'm not even there yet. I don't know how much longer it is to Nachshon. It's just packed. Because tonight, all the people who didn't actually march, who are coming just to support, all these cars that I'm passing by are just the people coming to support the 10,000 marchers. So, and I'm one of them. I didn't do the actual march. So I'm here just to lend support. So this is quite historic for a lot of reasons. First of all, nothing like this has ever been done. A march through Israel for the sake of anything, really, but especially for democracy. So in that sense, the scale of this protest, of the estimated 500,000 people roughly who've been coming out to protest, who represent triple that amount or quadruple that amount because of all the people who say, oh, I would come if I could, but I can't. So that's, it is estimated to be something like 2 million people in protest out of 10 million Israelis. So it's quite a big chunk of people who feel very strongly about what's happening, strongly enough to give up their weekends and their Saturday nights and everything else. And also, it's been week after week, except for a little lull in the middle, when the day that Bibi announced, okay, we're going to put it on hold, we're going to put this whole thing on hold, and we're going to have negotiations. So when that happened, the protest movement sort of paused, and then it was Pesach and stuff, so it was still happening, but it was in a much smaller scale. So except for that little pause, it's been happening almost non-stop. So we're talking about being historic, not only for A, the size, B, the intensity of the passion of this, and 3, the length of it, 6-7 months already of constant protest, and then ending up with this, which is sort of like the culmination of it, because the summer session of the Knesset is over in about a week, next week. And so this is like a looming deadline. The government has intentions to pass a whole bunch of things this coming week. To be sure, a whole bunch of things have already passed, and they've passed first and second readings, and things are, a whole bunch of different things have already. This is like people everywhere, just marches everywhere, every direction. So So the intensity of this kind of protest has never been seen in Israel. For this type of topic, and also the length of it, and this march through Israel has never been seen quite this way. So it's historic that way. Unfortunately, it's also historic in the other direction, in that the types of legislation that we're fighting against, the legislation is also historic in the other direction, that we're talking about legislation that really, will change the face of Israel. It's a regime change. It is absolutely, because the types of legislation that are being pushed through will be very hard to come back from. The Yarin Levin and all the architects and Kohelet, the architects of this, have been trying to put measures in place to make sure that whatever comes next, whatever government comes next, will be stuck, will not be able to undo this, or at least not be able to undo it easily. So it's historic in both directions, right? It's historic in the sense that this is a moment when Israel is about to shift. And I mean, let's be honest, as much as I'm looking around and like, wow, about the protests, it's a losing protest, okay? Because if Bibi and his whole government have not been touched or moved or affected until now, they're not going to be affected by this either. In fact, it has even sometimes a boomerang effect, in that it gives material, it gives weapons. It's weaponized by the other side. They say, oh, you see, they're all anarchists. They say everything that happens in the protests is used by the other side to prove that this is fake, that these are leftists, that these are anarchists. Lots of different ways to delegitimize this. And the bigger the protest, the more toxic tactics are used to delegitimize this. But so I am not at all optimistic that these protests are going to have any effect, because the government is not moved. It's not. They haven't been moved until now. They're not going to be moved by this. So in that sense, what's historic about this is not that we're going to actually make the change that the protest movement wants to make, which is to stop the legislation from passing. However, what I think and what I want to say here is that I think it's historic in a different way. I think the way that it's historic is that I think there's a movement being formed here. This is a moment when, something is happening. All right, there's all sorts of traffic jams. What I'm trying to say is that what's happening here is the formation of a movement. It's the coming together of a really massive chunk of Israelis who are saying, we want something else. We want a different way. We have a different vision of what it means to be Israeli. We have a different vision of what it means to be Jewish, really, what it means to be a Jewish state, right? It's the pulling together of a powerful idea, a powerful alternative vision for Israel. And that is really important, because that hasn't happened for a really long time, and it's been really necessary. I mean, there's this huge vacuum. Excuse me. There's a huge vacuum on the left in terms of vision and clarity of vision. And this has been happening for a very long time for all kinds of different reasons. Right now there's a vacuum. And Meretz isn't even in the government anymore, and some of the Arab parties. And so what I feel like is happening here is the coming together of people who very powerfully want to say, we have a shared value and we have a shared vision an alternative vision of what Israel could be and what it could look like. And that is so important. That's what's happening here. That's why I'm here tonight. You know, I'm not here, I mean, I am here, obviously I don't want the legislation to pass, but realistically, as nice as this is, it's already happening. It's already happening. But even though it's happening, this is historic anyway, because here's a moment when possibly, potentially, something new can be germinating that Israel desperately needs, which is an idea about what Israel could be if it's rooted on not Bibi values, a different kind of Jewish state, a different meaning of what it means to be a Jewish state. And my big question here is, what will that end up being? What's going to happen? Like, what's going to happen in 2 weeks' time, in 1.5 weeks' time, when the Knesset is no longer in session, when a lot of bills have passed, when this protest movement, sort of goes home, even if it's temporarily going home. What is next? What are we going to do with all of these energies? Where are they going to go? Are they going to form a new party? Are they going to inject ideas into an old party? Is Yair Lapid gonna? Oh, what flag? Some of those. Is a political leader going to emerge from here? There are a few really interesting leaders who are, making names for themselves through this protest movement. Like Orly Bar-Lev, who has repeatedly said that she does not want to go into politics, but she's a phenomenal leader with a vision. There are a whole bunch of other people, phenomenal people with phenomenal visions. And the question is, what are we going to do with all that? And my bigger, deeper question is, how far is that reimagining going to go? Because as I've been writing already for a while, I would like to see it go deep. Because I think that the Zionism that I was brought up on, that made me make Aliyah 30 years ago, is no longer, it never was satisfying, okay? But I bought into it for a long time. I've written about this a lot. But my feeling is that I would like to see us re-envision and reimagine what that Zionism could be if it weren't based on force, violence, coercion, otherness, othering the other, dehumanizing the other. What would our country be like if it weren't built on the very BBS kind of dehumanization of the other and the dismissal of what Palestinians are saying about how they experience us, Jews, Israelis? If we could redo that whole thing, if as a result of this movement, people come out of this with like a new understanding, saying, I don't want that. I don't want everything that Bibi stands for. That whole, like, brutal kind of Zionism. If we could come out of this protest movement with that vision, with people like having an aha moment, like a clicking moment. Like I always write about how I had this clicking moment during that little brief period when I worked for NGO Monitor, and my job was content writing, and the task I was given was to find anything ever written by a Palestinian and prove that they were lying. That was like a massive like wake up moment for me. Since I started writing about it, and the more I talk about it, the more I realize how important it is. And I'm wondering, because that was the first time that I really started to say, hang on a second, like, what the hell are we doing? And how long have I been doing this? And how long have I been participating in this? And is there another way? And I'm wondering if this movement can create such an aha moment for for the Israelis here, for the ones who are saying, wait a second, we want something else. And is there going to be a leader emerging to really, really challenge Netanyahu and that whole world? You know, somebody who can really fully challenge it and who's not afraid. You know, who's not afraid to say Palestinians are human beings. Okay? Who's not afraid to say that, who's not afraid to say we need to listen what people are saying to us when they're saying to us, you Israelis, you Israeli government are hurting people in very terrible ways and you need to stop. Instead of saying, oh, they're all anti-Semites, if we say, oh, let's listen to that, okay, will that happen as a result of this movement? That's what I'm waiting for, and that's what I'm really hoping will happen. Anyway, I've been talking now for 16 minutes, walking the whole time, and still not even, I have no idea how much longer it is till I get to the spot that they've been sharing where all the tents are set up. There were like hundreds of tents set up and tables of food donated for the marchers. So this is really, just to emphasize, this is massive. Something massive is happening here. Massive. And I'm really curious to see where it'll go, and I'm really hoping that it'll go someplace really meaningful. Even if the judicial reform, passes, and even if formally Israel becomes a system of government that is dictatorship, here we have something else. What's going to happen from that? Okay.